When I first bought my bike, it was 10 times more exciting to go anywhere. You don't have a choice. You experience the exterior environment 100% of the time. No matter if it's hot, cold, dry, wet, you feel the road. You roll with the curves. On its own, you get more out of it. It's you and the environment and the elements and nature. Owning a motorcycle is a lifestyle if you make it a lifestyle. I ride 7 days a week, therefore it's definitely part of my lifestyle. I am always on the road. I talk to people, they tell me how dangerous it is. I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it. I've been riding in those dangerous conditions you talk about, and that's just what I do. That's how it is, I guess. I began riding motorcycles about 4 years ago, and I originally bought a bike before I even knew how to ride. And I taught myself how to ride. I decided to buy the bike because I'm a big fan of rolling and pitching as opposed to yawing, which cars do. Riding a bike, you just feel free to do whatever you want. Every motion of your body goes into the way the bike reacts. If I want to make a turn, I have to roll my bike sideways and then it just pitches around the turn. Emotionally, the greatest thing about riding for me is that you don't have any distractions. You don't have a cell phone to answer. You don't have food to eat while you're riding. It's you and the road, and you are paying attention to everything going on around you. You're taking in the scenery. You're knowing what's going on the road. So you're not the one out there making stupid decisions like, you know, some random person in their huge SUV trying to eat a cheeseburger, talking on the phone, yelling at their kids, and driving over the speed limit, not using their turn signals, all at the same time. I wouldn't say that's quite an experience. But when you're on your bike and it's just you and the wind and the smells and the road, you are more emotionally engaged. And depending on the day, depending on how beautiful the day could be, depending on where you go, it could be a life-changing ride. You never know. Up at the top of the Santa Cruz Mountains, smelling the trees and just leaving a trail of dirt behind you and just stopping every once in a while and turning the bike off and listening to the pure, peaceful, quiet sounds and maybe a bird rustling in the bushes in the distance. It is definitely more emotionally engaging and much more an enlightening experience.
My name is Chris Reese. I am a local in the Santa Cruz, Monterey Bay area, and motorcycles have been an interest of mine since 4 years old. The depth that I live motorcycles is, my life is motorcycles now. The strive for me to ride is greater than anything I've really known before. It's really hard to explain the feelings that I get when I'm riding a bike, just because it's a completely different world than anything I've known before. The freedom, I think, is the best word that most motorcyclists could relate to riding a bike. It's just you and the bike, and once you get comfortable on the bike, you don't even think that you're on a bike, because the bike just becomes an extension of yourself. It's just another part of your body, so it's really like you and the road, as opposed to more, you, the bike, and the road. Though you do have to have a lot more attention to what other people are doing. People see cars, all day long, but motorcyclists are never seen. I ride with the mentality that I'm invisible, and as long as I keep the mentality that I'm invisible, it's kept me out of trouble so far. I've been watching people in the eyes, and I've looked at them in the eyes, and they'll still pull out right in front of me. It's humanity. I don't put anything past a human.
I don't like to ride in what I call cages or cars or whatnot, because it's a serious test of my patience, really. There's a lot of bad drivers on the road, and on a motorcycle you can sort of go around them or avoid them and not have to deal with it as much. And that sort of ties back into the lifestyle. My life doesn't involve sitting in traffic every day in a commute. In my opinion, that makes my lifestyle healthier than, say the average person who sits in traffic for, half hour to an hour a day on their way to work 5 days a week. I've been in 4 major accidents, 2 involving black ice, 1 involving a guy that tried to make a lane change into me. I glanced over him for a second and then looked back and the car in front of me had stopped, so I grabbed my brakes and low-sided under the car. And then 1, which was my first time I dropped it within the first month of riding, turned too hot and target fixating on the outside of the road and just basically going there. Fortunately, I hit gravel, so it didn't do too much damage for my first crash, but it definitely was an eye-opener.
Yeah, crashing is different on a bike than in a vehicle. I've been in a couple crashes in the motorcycle world. It's commonly referred to a car or truck as a cage, just because you're caged in, you have steel all around you. As a motorcycle, you're free. I know this is going to sound weird, may sound strange to some. My personal experiences with crashing is it's really, really fun. First crash I had was actually at a racetrack, not on the street, and I flew off a turn at right around 150 miles an hour, and the best way to describe it is a big black slip and slide. As long as you go down nice and it's your fault, usually you separate from the bike goes off and does its thing, and you just start sliding or tumbling, or it's actually kind of fun.
Oh God. After my 4th accident, when I crashed due to black ice, it took me about 3 solid months to rebuild my bike, which included an entire facelift, but it was very difficult. I was very much not so happy that time of my life, those 3 months when I had to mostly be driving a gas-guzzling Suburban. All of a sudden I was spending 3 times as much money on fuel and not having any fun at all. That 3 months was the longest I've ever been without riding, and that was a real hellish experience.
The longest I went without riding, and I'm going to say this is going to be about 2 months. It was unnerving. You know, I've never been addicted to drugs or anything, but I've helped a lot of people through horrible situations and whatnot, and I see what they go through. And that's the closest I could relate to that, is coming off a drug addiction. Is I'm jonesing, that's all I think about. Just kind of get uneasiness, and it's just, I think of every possible way that I could possibly get myself to go on a ride. This was this past winter, a couple months back. It was raining, or I was going to school or work. I just couldn't get a ride in, and it was painful. I hope it never happens again.
The real factor that determines whether you're a real rider or not is whether you ride more than you talk.
Yeah, there's a huge camaraderie between other bikers. What's nice about it isn't just, oh, those are the sport bike guys, they have their own group. The Harley guys have their own group. I've noticed that it doesn't matter what you're on, as long as you're still on 2 wheels, you're still considered a 2-wheeled brethren. And it's nice. If you're passing by on the highway or on a road, just the classic thing is to give a little hand wave, or a lot of people give the peace sign or an upside down peace sign. It has a kind of a lore, kind of like a romanticism about it. A lot of motors have negative views on motorcyclists, but they see the camaraderie. It's fun to be a part of it. I've met a lot of people I probably wouldn't have talked to otherwise. It's just amazing how race and ethnicity, what your job is, all that stuff just goes right out the window. And I think it's really interesting to kind of move throughout the different cultures and see how different people react. It's definitely cultures within a culture.
It's like a brotherhood, kind of. You get together with your regular friends, say, and go out drinking or bust out a board game or something. So you have camaraderie in those areas. But with motorcycling, it's, say, when you're on the road and you pass another motorcycle going the other way, you're most likely waving to each other. That's just the camaraderie of motorcyclists, the subconscious camaraderie, I'd say. I just hope to God I never break a leg or an arm or put myself in a position where I can't ride, because if it just has to do with the choice of wanting to ride or not, yeah, nothing that can stop me from riding. And motorcycles are part of my life, and nobody can really tell me not to do it. My mom, after crashing so many times, every time she says, "You should just sell the bike." And I'm like, are you kidding me? You crazy. Just the pure fact that I'm in one piece and my bike is in one piece and we're on the road together, that's all that really matters.